Today on LA Currents, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, American architect, designer, and educator, Hollyhock House was his first Los Angeles commission and an ode to California's freedom and natural beauty. We sit down with Hollyhock House curator Abby Chamberlain Brock and interim general manager Daniel Chirica, who take us on a tour of this unique property. Next, founded in 2018, Urban Alchemy, a nonprofit homeless service provider, has proven to be an invaluable partner in keeping our city safe, clean, and welcoming for all. Wanda Williams, Director of Interim Housing, speaks to us about the mental health, case management, and medical services they provide. But to start, Los Angeles' 10th Council District once again has a voting representative at City Hall, and her name is Heather Hutt. Born and raised in the district, she has been a public servant for over 30 years. Hutt is the first woman, and in particular, the first Black woman to hold this office.
Recently, the City Council confirmed Heather Hutt to represent Council District 10. She's filling a seat left vacant when Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas was suspended due to indictment charges. Now that she is on the council, Hutt is laying out her plans for the district, and she joins us now to discuss those plans. Hello and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes. So what plans do you have for CD10?
Oh, so many. First, I want to let you know CD10 is my home and has been my whole life. So I really love this community, and I raised my 3 boys here. My plan is to use all the city resources possible to bring CD10 back to where it was. We're doubling down on the work that we're doing with our homeless population, make sure our homeless neighbors are housed. I want to say that when we got our homeless count, 1,300 people, and this was in February, were identified as unhoused in CD10. Between February and now, we have identified that just about 30% of those folks have been housed, and we'll continue to fight to make sure that they are housing secure.
And you say you want to bring the district back to where it was. What are you referring to?
You know, when I was a kid, it was safer. We were not as worried about taking a walk around the block as we are today. Our senior citizens could walk to the grocery store or go pay a bill. Well, I want that to happen again.
You mentioned homelessness. That is the most pressing issue in the city, every council member I talk to. Can you give any specifics on how we tackle this?
For our district, we have a homeless liaison, someone that actually goes out and has conversations with people that are unhoused so that they understand if they're resistant, they can understand if they have a drug problem, or they can understand if they're ready. And many times we find folks that have vouchers that don't know how to execute their vouchers. And then that helps expedite their housing piece because we have boots on the ground, having the real conversations with people that need help.
Are there any tiny home villages or transitional housing developments being erected in the district?
We have some now that are made out of containers, and they have been successful in housing folks. And we're looking for other spaces to house people in permanent supportive housing, bridge housing, and in emergency housing.
Okay. Now, are there any other services for the unhoused on the horizon?
Absolutely. We have in South Los Angeles a Therapeutic van that goes out when someone's having a crisis so that they don't have to try to find an emergency room or urgent care. You call into the fire station and they send out the Therapeutic van. I want to say the Therapeutic van is available 24 hours, and there's a psychiatric mobile advanced team right there that will be able to determine what issues the client has and how they can help them.
So there are trained professionals with the vans?
That's right.
Okay, that is...
And it's in South Los Angeles, so it's going to cover a broad area, but it's going to cover people of color, and those professionals are going to understand what the various issues are.
What has been the reaction to your appointment in the district? What are you hearing when you go out into the community?
People are really happy to have a voting member. They felt disenfranchised. They felt like it was taxation without representation. We have a vocal district, and they were the ones that reached out to council president and said, hey, we need a voting member. And that is really the trigger.
And a lot of civic groups supported you, Black, Brown, Asian. What did that mean to you?
You know, it was the fabric of what California is. It's the fabric of the city. People of different cultural backgrounds all wanting the same thing. Representation, they want a voice, they want a vote. And they all shared that message. And I was really excited to know that they thought I could do that for them.
Interesting, you mentioned you've worked in government for quite some time. What made you want to, work in public service?
Oh, my story is very interesting. My mother was the housing director for Councilman Bob Farrell in the 70s, which was the 8th district, right? She was a single mom, which meant what? After school, we had to go to the evening meetings, and I'd be the little girl on the sign-in, like, sign in here. And so we were, I guess by osmosis, taking in how important government is to the operation of our community.
And having worked at the national level, how are you applying that experience to what you're doing now with the council?
So it is very different because you can see the fruits of your labor right here at the council, where and nationally it was a broad law. It would take time to trickle down into the state and then to the local level. But, all politics are local, and I'm happy to be right here where you could see you vote today and the work starts tomorrow.
And everything from, you mentioned, tree trimming and things like that, things that really affect people day to day.
You know something? I drive to work on the streets because I want to see the tree trimming in the street, honestly, instead of catching the freeway where you would miss all of that. So today I was going down Obama and I saw the street closure where they were repaving. So I was just really happy to see that in the neighborhood, like the work is getting done.
That's a great little anecdote. You are the first woman to represent CD10 and the first Black woman. What does that mean to you?
First of all, it is incredible that there hasn't been a woman here before. I mean, of any color. And for it to be me is a great responsibility. I have to show little girls of any color that they can do this. Because if you can see it, you could be it, right?
Did you have mentors along the way?
I did. I had amazing mentors. First of all, I had my mom, Jackie Hickman, who, like I said, worked in the city, but she did some incredible things with women like Mary Henry, Johnny Tillman, and Brenda Marsh Mitchell. So I saw women fighting for rights so that they didn't have to have substandard living, and that's deep in me. I appreciated that experience and will continue to fight. Also, Gwen Moore. My Auntie Gwen was an assembly member for 16 years. And then Maxine Waters. She's my forever mentor. And she called in right after I got sworn in and said congratulations so that everyone could hear that she was happy for me.
Oh, that's nice.
And we'll work together. That's right.
Wow. And you are still giving back. You just helped host an HBCU day in the district. Why is it important to do things like that?
I don't want to be cliche, but education is our future, and our children need to be educated. HBCUs, a great option. We don't have any in California, so when you can bring them here, I think that we should amplify the work that we do. On that day, we had 250 students come in and actually sit with college counselors and talk about what their future looks like, really to equip them for that next level. And we're going to continue to partner with them.
Well, there is a lot of hope about the future in CD10, and we thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I do want to say we're excited about what we'll be able to do in the future, hitting the ground running. If folks want to get in touch with our office, cd10.lacity hollyhock.gov. That's how you get in touch with us. That's how you can see what our updates are and our upcoming events.
Recognized as a historic cultural monument by the City of Los Angeles in 1963 and a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2019, Hollyhock House is a beloved stop for tourists and locals alike. After a 2-year closure due to the pandemic, the doors have now reopened for all to enjoy. Well, there are over 60 species of the favorite garden flower, the hollyhock, but there's only one precious hollyhock house, and it's here in Los Angeles. And I am delighted today to be in the Hollyhock House, and I am joined by Daniel Tarica, the interim general manager of the Department of Cultural Affairs here in Los Angeles, and Abby Chamberlain-Brock, the curator of the Hollyhock House. You've got the best job in the city, I think.
It is a joy to care for this house.
All right. To say that this entire facility, this beautiful property designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, was a unique undertaking would be an incredible understatement. So how did this home originally get to be, and what's its story?
So this is Frank Lloyd Wright's first Los Angeles commission, and when Aline Barnstall met Frank Lloyd Wright in 1915, it wasn't a house that she was asking him to build, it was a theater. She purchased this property 4 years later, and the scope of that commission grew immensely. So plans that Wright was working on included the theater, director's house, studio, artist spaces, as well as a house for Barnstall, 2 guest houses, a cinema for movies. It was a really ambitious plan that ended up only being partially realized with the main house and 2 guest houses.
Okay, but she didn't keep it. How did it get to be into the wonderful hands of the City of Los Angeles?
So the city got very lucky in how this all played out. So Aline Barnstall had completed the work on the house and the residences in 1921 and had the opportunity to experience what they might be like and really think about what her vision would look like for the Hill. She had the chance with Frank Lloyd Wright architecture, while incredibly inspiring, a little bit challenging to maintain, and decided that it might be better served to open it up and provide it for the city as a benefit. So in 1927, she donated this campus, the 12 acres here atop of Olive Hill, now known as Barnstall Park, Hollyhock House, and Residence A to the city. So we're overjoyed to be able to have this and to be able to help really execute her vision of an arts campus.
We're still wonderfully blessed by the fact that we have the opportunity to experience it now. And the fact that it is a UNESCO World Heritage designation, that is extraordinary and I don't use that word lightly because I think it's overused. There are only, a little over 1,100 in the world? That's an incredible thing to have that here in LA. How does that mean for the city of Los Angeles?
So we, through the work of our staff, through the work in their partnership with Frank Lloyd Wright Conservancy, we were able to achieve this UNESCO World Heritage designation in July of 2019. It's the city's, actually for the UNESCO designation, it's the first modern architecture designation in the United States. So it's part of a serial nomination of 7 other sites throughout the US that really recognize the great work of Frank Lloyd Wright. And what it does is it provides inspiration through the architecture to really understand and see what the site does, how it interacts with the nature around it, and the different architectural aspects to it as well.
So what is a UNESCO World Heritage
designation? Thank you.
Well, I mean, because I know, but I think that it's hard to express what it means to actually be in that category.
Right, so the UNESCO designation means it is through a larger international body that was created in 1972 to be able to recognize sites with universal value for folks to enjoy. It's the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. So what it does, there are sites throughout the world that really recognize that value and what they serve and how it helps build recognition for this work here in the United States, in Los Angeles. And it's actually the first site here in Los Angeles and the first architectural site here in California.
It's wonderful to tour, and it's wonderful to be, awakened to what's in here, but I would imagine that this home and everything about it is hugely studied. Are there a lot of researchers that participate in understanding what's happening here? Do you get a lot of inquiries from universities around the world or architecture students just voraciously excited to be in here. I mean, those that really want to know something maybe beyond the casual tourist, is there an enormous amount of attention there too?
I'm always impressed by how many architects and architectural historians make this one of their most important stops here in Los Angeles. It is such an important transitionary project for Wright and understanding his work and where he went between his prairie style and the work to come afterwards. So there has been a lot of scholarship on the house, but there's always new discoveries to be made, and that's been really thrilling to work with other scholars and also make those discoveries ourselves in how we get to interpret this place.
And is it unusual for someone of his regard or in that particular era to also design the furniture elements and some of the things that were interior to the home?
In the early 20th century, there was a very clear move to designing comprehensive interiors, so a total work of art where all of the design elements reinforced each other in a unified vision. So Frank Lloyd Wright was a master of that here in the United States. And for Hollyhock House, furnishings were just designed for the living room and the dining room, but the carpets in the living room space, the textiles, all are variations on that hollyhock motif. He would outsource the fabrication of the furniture, but he designed beautiful elements that we're seeing here that are abstractions of that hollyhock and create a unified whole.
So the idea, you speak of art, the idea of this entire complex is to be, obviously enhanced by the Frank Lloyd Wright properties and builds, but also this is an art center. There's more here. You mentioned some of the things that were happening during the opening, but what is the grand plan for this wonderful park for the citizens of Los Angeles?
So the way the department has been able to really execute Aline Barnsdall's vision has been over the last, say, probably 50 plus years to be able to add the Barnsdall Gallery Theater and the Los Angeles Municipal Art Gallery.
See, now there is a theater.
We finally have gotten the theater, and we also have a phenomenal art center. We have the Barnsdall Art Center and the Barnsdall Junior Art Center, where adults can take classes and youth can take classes. So these are really part of the city's cultural landscape. So it really has been an opportunity for the department and the city to capture all of the great opportunities and cultural events that are happening up here.
So it's an exciting space. And if you can't make this up here, if you're out of the state or, there is an opportunity, however, to enjoy it virtually, is there not?
Yeah, so in 2019, we debuted our virtual accessibility experience. It's a virtual tour that offers 360 views and interpretive materials on the house. So that can be used here on site for visitors that aren't able to navigate into spaces that require stair rises or tight passageways, but anybody from home. And it was something that was just such a wonderful resource through the pandemic that people could still experience the interiors virtually.
As curator, you have probably more opportunity to dig and to tour and to hang and to just be than anyone. So is there a particular part of this house that you have discovered that maybe has not been necessarily focused on or recognized? Or is there some magical discovery that you have made that really added to the whole story of what happened here?
Well, it is a pleasure to be in this house, and every day going through new things come to light. The most exciting as of late was during the pandemic, we purchased a painting. I was a fateful eBay search pulled up a painting that was from Aline Barnsdall's collection, and it was done by a California Art Club member. Barnsdall was a major art collector, and so it's just, she had dozens of Monets, Gauguins, but this was one that was done by a member of the art club who wrote about what it was like to display art here at the house. And so that painting has come back to the house, and we've just recently reinstalled it on the wall in a location where Barnsdall once had a painting right before you head on into the gallery. So you can really appreciate that kind of layered history and long legacy for art and culture here at the house.
I have to say that the different directions and the different ways you can enjoy this property are almost uncountable. And I can understand why it's on the UNESCO World Heritage list, because this is precious beyond belief. So I want to thank you both, but the last most important thing is you mentioned it once before, but if people want more information.
Absolutely. If they want more information on this and any of our other sites we actually have 36 sites throughout the city and other historic sites as well that I highly encourage folks to come visit. Go to our website at culturela.org, and there you will find information on Barnsdall Park and our many other historic sites, theaters, and art centers throughout the city.
When it comes to improving the safety of our neighborhoods, Urban Alchemy steps in to do the hard work. The Director of Interim Housing, Wanda Williams, talks to Anita Bennett about this nonprofit social enterprise and the services it provides to create safer spaces for communities to thrive.
A new tiny home village just opened in Westlake near downtown Los Angeles. Now that shelter is run by a nonprofit called Urban Alchemy. And joining us to discuss this village and some other issues involving the homeless is Wanda Williams. You are the Director of Interim Housing at Urban Alchemy.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about this tiny home village. How many people are housed there?
So at the present time, we have 55 people who are housed there. From all walks of life. And at this village, we're able to help each and every person from whatever walk of life, from whatever problems they have, we're able to help them get into permanent housing. So we have mental health services, we have case management, we have any kind of medical situation they may be going through, they're able to get that, vaccinations, anything and everything we provide.
Do you operate more than one shelter in the city?
No, at the present time, I operate 3. We have 2 tiny homes and we have 1 Safe Sleep.
Can you tell us what a Safe Sleep village is?
A Safe Sleep village is a village that we provide tents. So they go from a tent to a tiny home. And we're low barrier, which means that we allow them to come in at any time of the night. They can have animals, there's no curfew, and pretty much they can just live life. But during that time, during that stay, they must get their documentation. They must get their IDs, they must get their social security cards, they must get their birth certificates, and where are they going.
And you have people there to help them get these documents?
Yes, we help with all of those different services to get them back into society again.
The employees, a lot of them have experienced homelessness themselves, correct?
Yes. So we have some employees right now that are being housed in our facilities because we believe in giving opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. We also believe in giving jobs. So a lot of our employees who live at villages, they also work with us.
You know, for some of us, the thought of working on Skid Row would raise concerns. How do you train these employees? So all of our employees are trained not just in behavior modification, but we're also trained in de-escalating different sorts of behaviors that other people would not want to handle. We're trained, and the most thing that we're trained in because of our lived experience is we're trained in emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence just comes from being a person who's been unhoused, being a person who's been incarcerated. Our instincts are what we provide, so we're able to see some things that other people are not able to see because we've been there. Lived experience is the greatest teacher. From talking to a lot of employees that I deal with, the impact is knowing that, this person is really not mad at you. This person really does not want to beat you up, or this person doesn't want this anger issues that they're experiencing. This person's been dealing with these issues for a long time. And that when we personalize those issues is when we go to the other side. The other side meaning the dark side. So when we know that this issue is not toward us, we're able to de-escalate a situation even better. During the course of a day, they're engaging. So a lot of our people, they are, especially those who've been unhoused for a very long time, we have to take them back to civilization. We have to take them back to a place where they learn how to shower again, where they learn how to urinate in a toilet again. So a lot of it is life skills. Also, with our care coordination is some counseling, some crying, because a lot of people who we work with have been through a lot of things, and I think sometimes we have a misconception of homelessness, that it's all about people who are drug dependent and people but we don't see that the people who've been displaced, we don't see people who've been displaced through COVID, we don't see people who were a paycheck away. We don't see a person like me who was homeless, and I fell on hard times. How long were you homeless?
I was homeless for 3.5 years. I was homeless in LA for a year, and I was homeless in Philadelphia for 2.
How did you overcome that situation?
So one of the things that really helped me in coming to LA was going through grief counseling. I lost my mother, and I went through a very, very trying time. I went through a time of grief. I went through a time of anger, bitterness, and depression. And when you come into the shelter system in LA, you're given goals. And so one of my goals was to go to counseling. And it was the best thing that ever happened.
That's really powerful, and I'm so happy to hear that you were able to get the help that you needed.
Yes.
Do you think that your lived experiences help you in your work?
Yes, most definitely it helps. It helps because you begin to put yourself in those shoes. You begin to say, wow, I know how that feels. You begin to say when those people, when Christmas time comes around, when Thanksgiving comes around, you begin to say, I don't have no family. And what can I do for them that I wanted done when I was in that situation? So yes, I wanted a family setting for Thanksgiving. Yes, I wanted somebody to acknowledge that it was Christmas, and although I didn't have family, the shelter became my family.
Nice. You talked about teaching people life skills, which a lot of us, we don't think about that.
Yes.
How do you go about teaching someone these basic life skills that they've lost by living on the streets?
So like a lot of times, we don't find out that they really are in that sort of need until we have room inspections. So when we go into the room and we find buckets of urine, we mark off when people are supposed to take a shower and they haven't taken a shower in over 2 weeks. And we begin to understand that, this person has been so stuck, not being able to shower, not being able to urinate in the toilet. And then we begin to understand, this person needs to go back into that place where they learn again of how to take care of themselves.
What type of success have you had with this?
We've had great success because we had another tent village. It was called Madison. And so we moved from the tent village to the tiny home, which is at Westlake at the present time. Mm-hmm. So we went from only about 12 people taking showers to about 55 now taking showers.
Wow, it's pretty incredible.
Yes, so we have a very large community that really does their self-care every day now. So I'm very happy about that.
Do you visit the villages regularly?
Every day.
Wow. So you become friends with the residents?
I become friends with the residents, and the residents are not just my friend, they're my family.
I like that, that's well said. If someone wants to apply to Urban Alchemy, how do they go about that?
Oh, so we have a website, and it's called urban-alchemy.us. Mm-hmm. And they can go on there and they can apply for a practitioner. All of our people who want to apply, they're practitioners. Because a practitioner means there's a wide range of things that you will become in this position. You're going to become a counselor, you're going to become a parent, you're going to become everything to everybody that everyone needs.
I see you all over town. Walk me through your average day.
So an average day is going to the encampments, also having that understanding that people do want to be housed. People do want to get off the street. People do want to be great. We also make sure that each and every person is treated as a human being and not just someone that's unhoused. I think that'll be a great way to put that. We're making sure that we have cooling stations where we make sure that in this heat that they have water. We make sure that they have something to eat. All down Skid Row, we're doing that right now. So when we're going through the tents in Hollywood, we're trying to get them into housing. We're trying to get them placed. In Venice, we're trying to get them housed. We're trying to get them placed. And then at the villages, we're doing everything.
You're busy.
You're busy. If you're working at the villages, you're busy.
Well, this has been a very enlightening conversation. Thank you so much for sharing what Urban Alchemy is doing. And that's going to do it for this edition of LA Currents. I'm Anita Bennett. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.